Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am here with my playing partner on the golf course for this PGA review, and that's Mr. Andrew Hansen. How are you, Andrew? I missed you last week. I had to play by myself. I had to play through a bunch of people.
I know it. Yeah, thanks. Glad to be back. I didn't even tell you when I was gone. One of the places I stopped in at was Pinehurst number 2 in North
Wow.
Carolina. Visited a real close golf friend there, and we just had a beverage outside, walked around, took in the scene, and it was nice to
Beautiful.
get on a major championship course. And during my time off here, I didn't get to play, but just seeing it was nice. So now we gear up here for another week. Glad to be back.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, we're the last few weeks, this Florida swing has been fun. We were on a just absolutely red hot smoking streak for 5 straight weeks. And then last week it was, a little bit of Shooter McGavin, I think, got the best of us
Yeah.
because I was yelling at my ball, get in the hole, get to your home.
Too much water. Too much water on that
Yeah,
course.
just my guys were definitely in the drink enough, and it was a not, I would say, profitable weekend in golf. But you know what? We're back to even score across the board, and we're going to go after this week to get that money train for another 5 week stretch. That's the goal.
Yeah, and you know what it
So,
is here? I think this is an
yeah,
opportunity because a lot of the key golfers are going to sit out this week. So
yeah.
people are just going to relax a little bit, not pay as close of attention. But when we dig in on some of the value plays, this is our opportunity to jump right back up there.
I agree with you. I think there's some under the radar guys and some interesting odds in this deal. But it is the Honda Classic, and again, it's a par 70, which is unusual anymore on the PGA Tour. But 7,100 yards, I mean, it's a fair distance for a par 70, and tons of water. Again, it's very similar to what they've just been playing, and there was no coincidence the last 2 weeks. I mean, what are the chances that we'd have the same two guys in the last pairing 2 weeks in a row?
Craziness.
I know. What are the chances that you don't see that except for back in the day when it was like Tiger and Phil dominating the sport, or David Duval, or whoever it was in that time frame. But Lee Westwood at his ripe old age, he's not that far behind me, for crying out loud.
I know. 2 straight
Yeah,
weeks finishing
yeah.
second. Tony Finau finished second 3 weeks in a row recently. Can Lee Westwood do it?
Oh my
We'll find
goodness,
out
I
this
don't
week.
know. Yeah, we'll
I
talk
was going to
through
ask
that
you
for
on that, so
sure.
you can tell me later what the answer is. You're going to give us the answer on that one.
Well, I'm closest in age, so I can tell you right now that there's a fade a coming for me.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes. But a couple of things, and then we're going to dive into the stats here. We're going to try to keep the pod a little bit more compact so that everybody gets a chance to listen in while they're building lineups, and some people just jump on last minute Wednesday nights to make their lineups for the Thursday morning tee times. But we'll bring this to you every Tuesday, as we always do. Try to compact a little so you can make those lines, and then join us at DFS Coach Talk. We post full lineups for Fanduel and Yahoo on Wednesday night, and we put up a nice little coach's clipboard for Draftkings. All right, couple things I wanted to mention here. The two categories that I seemed to find that were going to be very key and that I'm focusing all my picks on basically are two specific things. And that's, what we've talked about here a couple different times on these type of courses is driving accuracy, obviously, because you don't want to go in the water, and then greens and regulation. And, once you get on there, this is the third week on a row on the same exact kind of greens, same climate, the whole 9 yards. So, really wanted to focus in on that. And then, we do have one other thing to mention here, Andrew, is there's going to be pretty heavy wind on Thursday. There's supposed to be some rain, possibly either Thursday or Friday, and then rain on Sunday. So, that's going to, muck things up a little bit as well.
Yeah, the conditions are very important on this course. And if you look at the history here, there's usually some wind. There's always water because it's there.
Yeah.
And the stats that jumped out at me this week that play into what you were just talking about are that the tour average for greens in regulation right around 69%, but on this
Okay.
course only 59%.
Oh my
And
goodness.
they've played it every year here since 2007. The lowest score is 13 under for a tournament, and for avid golf fans, you're used to seeing some 20 unders a lot of these weeks on the PGA Tour. So it is a very hard course,
Yeah.
and you get some players who come back here because they have success, they can handle the wind, the water, and they're good at the ball striking and the greens in regulation. So because it's such a hard course for greens in regulation, that's also a stat that I dove into is who's been hot this year in terms of getting on the dance floor in regulation.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, it's going to be a test. I mean, they've played Ryder Cups and different things, different big tournaments on this course because it can be a real true test. And I'm with you, especially with the weather. I'm not expecting anything over 10, 12 under max. I mean, I think if you can shoot, I mean, it's a par 70 for crying out loud. So, it could even be tougher than that. But so we want the grinders. We want the guys that can play in a little wind, a little weather. And like you said, those accuracy numbers are extremely important. Let me throw my one quiz at you today, like we normally do, and then we'll talk briefly about the betus.com .pa odds for this tournament, because that always gives a nice little correlation to when you're looking at who you want to roster. Is are the bettors favoring those guys, and where's the money going to? That always helps. The favorite in this course is not the defending champion, believe it or not. It's Daniel Berger at 10-1, followed by Sungjae Im, who is the defending champ, at 12-1. And then you have Lee Westwood at 16-1 and Joaquim Neiman at 16-1. And then this is what I wanted to quiz you on. And it's going to be just a one and done.
Okay.
I'll give you two guesses. Two guesses to get one guy. And he's the fifth, tied for the fifth favorite in this tournament.
All right.
Right below the guys I just read.
How about Russell Henley, former winner here?
He is seventh at 26-1.
All right.
Yes.
I'm going to have to go with another former winner here then, Adam Scott.
He is one below. I knew you were going to guess those guys.
This is insane.
Yes. I beat you. He's 23-1, Shane Lowry.
Oh, man.
I knew that was sort of a double cross
nice.
Trick.
You got me. Nice.
But
move.
Isn't that a tough one? Shane Lowry. And I dug in because I thought, man, why is he the fifth favorite in this tournament? And his record here is terrific. And he knows his course. He plays it well. The weather may play into his hands. So I think as the surprise guy, and he's getting betting action, he may be a good play under the radar to roster.
I like Shane Lowry here. He's in my initial lineup on both sites.
Nice.
This guy who, major champion and then took a bit of a rest and celebrated and hasn't
had a couple too many beers.
Yeah, exactly. Hasn't been in top form, but he's getting there. He is 46th this year in greens and regulation on the PGA Tour, and he finished tied for 8th last week. So if you get Lowry when he's got it clicked in, then watch out.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if how his ownership is. It could be a really key play. You don't often get the fifth favorite in a tournament. I mean, last week the fifth favorite I think was Justin. So there you go. So it's certainly not the same field as last week, but it's nice to get a guy at a fair price in DFS. So why don't you share your inside skinny on the main stat that you've uncovered, and who are the guys that fall in those parameters?
Yeah, so looking at greens and regulation this current year, A lot of the guys here are mid-tier pricing options, and it makes sense because some of these guys, they're not the biggest bombers here. They're not the studs, top 10 in the world guys, but they're, as you said, plotters, guys who can play in weather. So the guy at the top of the list, Matthew Neismith,
Yeah.
he's stood out. We've talked about him recently. He's really trending up, but he's been a little bit streaky. He had 3 top 20s, then 2 straight missed cuts. So
Hmm.
this may be a week to avoid him unless you're planning on a bounce back. I'm going to mention some of the guys here in the top 20 this season who are playing this week that I like. Jim Furyk is next.
Wow.
And
You always have one old timer in there.
I always get one in here, and
Yes.
it might be Furyk this week, who's, in his last 2 PGA Tour events, tied for 26th and tied for 21st. So
Nice.
he's still got it. And the guy that I usually like in this category, Steve Stricker, he's been priced up. He's all the way up to 6,800. So
What the heck?
I may go with Furyk here this week. Next on the list, Cameron Percy. He finished tied for 29th last week. Another 6K guy on DraftKings.
Nice value.
Yeah, nice value. Aaron Wise, 7,600. I'm not expecting quite as much from him, so that's not my pick of the litter here. Russell Knox. Okay, here's another guy. We like to play him in these conditions. He's 7,900 on DraftKings. He's top 10 in this stat this year. He did have a tied for second in this event back in 2014. So he's shown he can get it done on this course. The next guy in the top 10, Joaquim Neiman. He's going to be popular this week, one of the expensive guys. He did miss the cut here last year, which is surprising because really good ball striking. He has picked it up more this year, become even better in terms of world ranking. So, he's attractive. He's a guy that makes the cut every week. Russell Henley, another former winner. He's 12th in this stat. A little bit pricey because of the weaker field, so you'll have to pay up a little bit for him. Norlander is next on the list. He's been a little bit cold lately. Not quite feeling him right now, but the next guy on the list is another value play that we like occasionally, James Hahn. And he's had 2 top 20s in his last 4 events.
Wow. He is such a boomer bust guy, it seems like.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's in that mid-tier price range, and if you get him when he misses the cut, forget about it. But he can get you a top 20, and you're not really expecting it.
Yeah.
2 more guys to mention. Sam Ryder, who's a little bit cheaper, missed the cut last week. Don't like him quite as much. But Kevin Streelman, the last guy in the top 20 here, 7,700. He did miss the cut at the Players, but he'd made 4 straight cuts before that. So I never mind playing Kevin Streelman in Florida. He seems to have a good history there.
Yeah, and the price is right, too. So, not bad at all. Very, very good. Couple things just to mention real quickly. Great time to jump on with us at DFS Coach Talk. We have some very outstanding offers. The one with BetUS.com.pa, where I was reading those odds from, and I'll have a couple shillings on my guides that I'm going to be mentioning here for my picks of the week. But you can join there. Go to BetUS.com.pa. Use the promo code Coach Talk, all one word, no space. Deposit $149, and then just shoot us a tweet we're at DFS Coach Talk, and let us know that you've signed up. We'll get that notification, send you an invite. You'll be in Discord just like that, and you get a free membership with us until June 1st, just for signing up for the first time with BetUS. If you already have a BetUS account or you don't want to go that route, you can just go right straight to dfscoachtalk.com, sign up for the $149. Again, you get a membership until June 1. If you just want to dip your toe in the water, not your golf ball like my guys last weekend, that's a $10 3-day pass, and it allows you, to ride that out. So welcome to jump in there, or if you're strictly a golf guy too, join that Thursday, and you can ride out most of the weekend there, and hopefully we can get some winners. Actually, I would advise joining Wednesday because we'll have our picks up on the Discord Wednesday night. So we'd love to have you. We appreciate you. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, please take a second, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and click that little box in the corner there that will give you an alert when our pods are posted. All right, couple things I want to mention, Andrew. These are the guys that I pulled out. I usually do a 5-year dive of about the top 10 or 12 just to see if there's any consistency with guys that are finishing in the money or up top. And these are the guys that I found. Some very interesting, some not so much. But of course, Fleetwood is he out of the field?
He is out now this week.
He's
he has
out.
Great history here, but not playing.
Oh, that stinks. He'd have been a great pick. Daniel Berger,
Yep.
who absolutely is the not chalk, but he'll be one of the 2 or 3 favorites in here for sure. On Grillo, and correct me if I'm missing anybody that dropped out.
I think Grillo, I think he dropped out also.
Did he as well? I apologize, because we did have some late scratches too, and it's the nice thing about it is they've corrected it on Draftkings and Fanduel with the guys that have come in or out. So, the other guys, really, it's amazing to me because we expected after the big tournament last week that some guys would stand in here and stay with it, but a lot of them opted out of this tournament. I think probably weather and everything else. These courses play tough, and they're tough on your nerves. But a couple other guys, Brandon Wu, that's a guy we don't often talk about, but he likes this course. I think that he's somebody that can show up. And then going a little deep, Chris Kirk, who's been hot lately. His short game's come together. He's played well. And Doug Gim, who's been obviously these type of courses are his cup of tea because he's making cuts and being in the thick of it with these type of fairways and greens that we're getting in this mini Florida swing. So those are a few guys I wanted to throw out there, Andrew. And then I've got a few picks of my own. Were there any guys that stood out to you as from a course history standpoint?
Well, I just want to follow up on one guy you mentioned. I'm glad you did. That's Brandon Wu. And he was going to be my secret squirrel this week, so I'm glad you're on him as well. And I think
he's a double secret squirrel then, because he was my secret squirrel.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's under the radar because he doesn't have a lot of PGA history. He's a young player, Stanford graduate. And we know that there are some decent golfers who come out of Stanford. And Brandon Wu finished tied for 7th in Puerto Rico in February on the PGA Tour. So he has a top 10 recently, and he has a win on the Korn Ferry Tour this season. And how about this? For greens in regulation, he's second on the Korn Ferry Tour, 75.77%.
I know
so
that.
this is a great.
You stole my thunder. We should have talked about this beforehand.
Hey, it's a double whammy that we both came up with our separate research. That goes with
my theory today too. I think I want to play all guys with just 2-letter last names. M, Wu, On, and I can continue on from there. You think that's a good trend?
It can be. Yeah, On is boom or bust, though. I don't know if he fits your profile for a cash lineup, but
no, he's a little spooky with that. But it would be cool to have a full roster with just 2-letter guys. Yes, I diverse, but yeah. So a couple other guys that the one guy that I mentioned that I like, and I'll tell you, I know he hasn't come through, but man, has he been in the thick of it, and that's Chris Kirk. Mm-hmm. I have a new respect for that guy. He did not putt well this last week, and usually he's a really good putter, but his accuracy and his short game, he's my mid-level guy that I think is going to be in a lot of my lineups.
Yeah,
Do you like him?
He's really talented. He's back on the scene. He's made a nice comeback personally. The rough thing, though, is he was 7 over in that 4th round after being right at the top of the leaderboard. So how does he recover from that big disappointment? That's the big question mark for him this week.
Yeah, we'll see how that rolls, because he can be one of those head case guys to go good or bad. But really, other than that aberration of that round, he had put 7 really strong rounds together in a row in those 2 tournaments. My big decision is going to be this week. and I have no idea which way I'm leaning because I've had one in the lineup, then the other, and I don't want to play both because it really ties your hands. I like the top two guys, Berger and Im, and I just don't know which one that I prefer. Do you have a side there?
I'm leaning Berger,
Are
and
you?
it's that thing we've talked about a little bit with Sung J Im, how basically since he won this event last year, he
Yeah,
just hasn't finished. He's been solid. If you look at his
right,
last 6 events, he's been in the top 32
right
every
there.
single week, but he
Yeah,
hasn't had any top 10s.
yeah,
And then if you look at Berger, his last 3 events, he won, then 35th, then tied for ninth last week. So I just like
yeah.
Berger with that higher ceiling recently.
He deserves to be the favorite. I agree. I just feel like M's about to bust through.
He
I
certainly
mean,
could.
you know, he's made two cuts in a row on the same type of course, same greens, and he just like you say. But it's amazing though to finish 20th or whatever he has a tendency to finish, or finish in third. It's just a couple of putts. I
Right.
mean, it's such a fine line for those guys to break through. So I guess I'm leaning in, but we'll see. I'm going to read some more. I think Berger is the safer play of the two. I agree with you there. Um, I'll give you one other guy, and then we'll move on down with the last couple of closing things. But here's a guy that is long shot that I think can cause some trouble. He's been up and down, but from a consistency standpoint, there is definitely some risk there. But I like his performance on these type of courses, and it's a guy you mentioned earlier. You talked about him a little bit, and it just reinvigorated my thought here of Russell Knox. He's a guy, when we play him in these right type of scenarios with not quite as tough of a field, he usually grinds out a nice cut and a decent finish, and he's 70 to 1. So I think as a cheaper guy on Fanduel and Draftkings, I think he's just a nice guy to round out a lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, it was just back at Pebble Beach. He finished in the top 10.
Right.
And I think we were on him that week
Yes, we were.
because of those
Yeah.
conditions. So I feel confident putting him out there again this week.
Yeah, and he makes some things work for you too, so that's very good. Do you want to give some additional picks on your side?
I will say one more. I'll say one more potential value play here. It's Lucas Glover, and
Okay.
he's a Florida guy. He had been a little bit cold, but he's heating back up here. He's made 3 straight cuts. He finished tied for 14th, I believe, or was it fourth in this tournament 2 years ago? I can't read my note there, but
I think 14.
okay. So at 7,000 on DraftKings, 8,500 on FanDuel. There's another guy who's even cheaper
Yeah,
than Knox that would allow you to get another guy like Berger, Lowry, Im, however you want to build that upper echelon of your lineup.
absolutely. Outstanding, outstanding. Um, it's funny because we put together our man Joe Stanton put together the thumbnail, and I was excited to take a look at Doc Redman this week, and he withdrew. He's out. So now we have to change our thumbnail. I wonder if we can put our double secret squirrel on there. Do you think? I hope we can find a picture of Mr. Brandon Wu.
Hey, that would work for me. I'm
I'll
game.
try to see if he can do it. We'll put him under the gun here.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
uh, we'll give Brandon some pub before he takes off. So
Right.
excellent. Any final words, sir?
That's it. Thank you all for joining us.
Fantastic. Let's definitely get it done this week in PGA. Get the hot streak going again. We really do appreciate you listening in, and we'll catch you again next week when we look to crush it in DFS PGA.